practically correct. Use skill. Second year. Board. Board only, not the PPT. Done? Done? Hello, welcome back to Botany second year students. So today we are going to continue the SAQs from the chapter 9. So what we have done in the yesterday's class. In the yesterday's class, we have seen why Mendel selected pea plant for his experiment. That's the one of the SAQ from the chapter 9, that is the genetics chapter. And next comes the next question is differences between the dominant recessive and homozygous and the heterozygous. Okay, and that also over. And the test cross, I have explained you very clearly with the representation and the theory. Okay, now we will go with the other questions in that chapter. That is another SAQ from this chapter is law of dominance. Describe law of dominance. What is meant by law of dominance? The first one, what we have to know about this. Okay, otherwise the question will be write an essay on law of dominance, anything, whatever may be this, but the answer, how I am saying like that only you need to write. Okay, so law of dominance. Dominance means the character which is going to be expressed in all the generations without any change. That is called as the dominant character. Dominant character means the character which is going to be expressed without any change in generations to generations is called as the dominant character. So the law of dominance says in any generation, the dominant characters will be expressed. Okay, dominant characters will be expressed in the homozygous as well as in heterozygous condition. In homozygous or in heterozygous. What is meant by this? Homozygous means when the alleles, both the alleles are of the same kind, that is called as the homozygous condition. Heterozygous condition means when the alleles are of different, capital letter and the small letter, which are representing two different characters. That is the heterozygous representation. So in the homozygous or in the heterozygous condition, when a character is going to be expressed without any change, that is called as the dominant character. And whenever this dominant character is going to be expressed in the heterozygous condition, it suppresses the another allelic character. Okay, otherwise another character that is going to be expressed by the recessive allele is going to be suppressed, but the characters are present in that organism, those are going to be suppressed for a period of time. It might be the next generation, we can see those recessive characters about, because always the recessive characters will be expressive in the homozygous condition. Okay. So what we have to write in the heterozygous condition, the dominant allele only exhibits its characters by suppressing the recessive allelic characters. Okay, but the recessive allelic characters are present in that organism. That's the one what here we have to write. Now, in this dominant one, how to express this? So, Mendel took the characters, 7 contrasting characters in the pea plant. Okay, so in those 7 characters, which one is the easiest one for us to represent here? That is the height of the plant body, height of the pea plant. That is the tall and the dwarf. Tall character, that means 2 parents when we have taken in that, one is the tall plant and another one is the dwarf plant. So always the tallness is the dominant character over the dwarfness. So tall character should be represented with the capital letter and the dwarfness should be represented with the small letters. And these are the first parents. Parent 1. Okay, and from this only one gamete we will get. That is the capital T here, here small t. And always gametes need to be encircled. These are the gametes. Then in there itself give the labeling. If these two will fuse, we will get a capital T, small t. This is the F1 generation. The first filial generation is called as the F1 generation. So in this F1 generation, all the offsprings are having the dominant characters. That is the tallness can be seen. Now we will see once why we are selecting the pea plant. Pea plants can be cross-pollination and the self-pollination. Both can be easily possible in the pea plant. So here the same thing what Mendel did in his hybridization works also. So first of all, he has crossed 2 plants. Okay. After that, he started doing the selfing. So that once the selfing was done, that is F1 should be crossed with F1. There is a selfing. Capital T, small t should be crossed with a capital T, small t. Now, these are the second parents. Parents 2. Now, in this, how many gametes we will get? From here, from this parent, 2 gametes, from this parent, 2 gametes. So, because once like this, if we are going to represent over there, it will be a clumsy. We cannot easily see which type of gamete is going to be combining with which type of gamete in the male and the female parent. So, better to go with the Punnett square picture. This is male, this is female gametes. Capital T, small t. Here, capital T, here, small t. Okay. So, this is the F2 generation. And these are the gametes. Now here, capital T, capital T, capital T, small t, capital T, small t, small t, small t. Okay. So in this, what is the phenotypic and the genotypic? Phenotype. Below that Punnett square picture, we have to write this phenotype of the F2 generation. Tall and the dwarf plants we can see over there, isn't it? In this, only tall and dwarf. This is a tall plant. This is also tall because capital T is present, dominant gene, and this is also tall, and this is dwarf. So, how many characters? Phenotype means external occurrence of an organism. So, how many characters we can see for the plant body? Only two, tall and the dwarf. That's what we said in the phenotype, tall is to dwarf. So, now comes the phenotypic ratio. Phenotypic ratio, how many plants are tall? Now the number of the organisms we have to give with that specific phenotypic character. So how many plants are of tall and how many plants are of dwarf, we need to say here. So see in the Punnett square picture again, how many plants are tall? This is a tall, this is tall, this is tall. That means three plants are tall and one is the dwarf plant. So for your consideration only, because I have marked it, I read this one as a tall. So I kept the tick mark with the another color so that you can easily say and you can easily remember this one also in the final exam what you have to write. So they may give this part, this question, otherwise the test cross mostly, otherwise the one more question for the supply exams is why Manda selected pea plant for his experiments. Out of these three, one we can expect. If not, the next three questions. Okay. So how many are the tall plants are present in the with the same character? Here, three tall plants we can see and one dwarf plant we can see in the phenotypic ratio. Now comes the genotypic ratio. Genotype. What is the genotype of these organisms with this specific phenotypic character? How many plants are there? What could be the genotype of that phenotype? Tall, capital T we can write. And capital T, small t we can write. Can we write any other genotype for the tallness? No. Because this is only the possibilities and the probability what we can say. So science is not different than the maths, isn't it? In the maths only, what we'll think that is a probabilities are there, possibilities are there. But in the science also it is there. So equivalent to that subject. So this chapter is exactly equivalent to the maths. When you are getting the steps in the math, each and every step is important over there for us now. So if one step was gone, then we cannot say that we will get the full marks, isn't it? So here also same thing. If the one step was gone, you will lose the marks over here. So it's equivalent to the maths. Why? That's the one what we are saying. The science and the math are interrelated. Okay, interrelated. So we need to assume and we need to come to the conclusion that yes, this is the one. And the dwarf plant. How many plants are of dwarf? Only one plant. This is the only one. So here with the genotype, small t, small t. Now comes the genotypic ratio. How many plants with the capital T, one plant we can see in the Punnett square picture. And two plants with the capital T and the small t. That is a 1:2, 2:1 here. Okay. And here, what we have said, phenotypic ratio 3:1. So if you have seen the how many offsprings are there in the F2 generation, and this is the Mendel was the mathematics professor, first of all. So he will implement all his mathematical rules and regulations in the life sciences. So here, what he said, how many offsprings we got, how to cross check again once we have taken out the phenotypic and the genotypic ratios. So here the phenotypic ratio is 3:1. If you add these two numbers, we will get 3 + 1, 4. Isn't it? In the Punnett square picture also, we got the 4 offsprings, 1, 2, 3, 4. So like this, we need to come to the conclusion. Okay, we have to come to the conclusion also like this. And the genotypic ratio, if you add up these numbers of the genotypic ratio, again you should get the exact number of the offsprings that are produced in the F2 generation. Those are the 4. 1 + 2, 3, 3 + 1, 4. Equal na? So nowhere we missed any one organism, one offspring in counting, isn't it? So like that, we have to come to the conclusion, cross-checking, so that it should be very, very useful. Why I am stressing on this? The next concepts, what we are going to see in that, this phenotypic ratio and the genotypic ratios are the most important ones. So what Mendel said, the law, according to the law of dominance, the phenotypic ratio is 3:1 and the genotypic ratio is 1:2:1. Okay. And this is the constant scenario according to the Mendel, what he has framed in the law of dominance itself. And what the law of dominance says, always the dominant allele is going to be expressing its characters in the homozygous as well as in the heterozygous condition without any change in it. That is the most important one, what we have to say. Now comes with the, and in some cases, once the Mendel said all these things, but we cannot see the same rules and regulations in all the plants. In some plants, there is a small variation in the dominant characters itself, expression of the dominant character. So there is a variations from the Mendel's laws. So only few plants will show this type of variations in them. So that is nothing but the codominance and the incomplete dominance. So first of all, we will go with the incomplete dominance. So the question is, explain incomplete dominance. That's it. They won't ask any further question in this. So what is meant by incomplete dominance? So here, how you are writing your answer matters a lot. That is the most important one in this chapter, what we will see. What is will explain the incomplete dominance, what they will ask. So in this, what you have to write, first of all, the definition for the incomplete dominance, then which organism it is going to be absorbed, and the scientific name is that the plant, animal, or a human being you need to mention. And after that, describe about this incomplete dominance, and the conclusion is needed. Without these 4 things, the answer is not written in a systematic manner, and no one gets a satisfaction after reading your answer. First of all, we need to get satisfaction after reading the answer. Yes, you have written all the points like this. Yes, beautifully represented. The representation is given very, very beautifully in the genetics only. So you need to now accept that you are not kids. You are not kids. You came to inter second year, means you are not kids. So you need to show your elderness in the writing the answer in a proper way. That's mandatory. Now I cannot ignore and I cannot accept your answer if you have written in a clumsy and in the not in a proper way, stepwise. Stepwise is the most important one. Okay, incomplete dominance. Incomplete dominance, there is no specific definition. Actually, whatever you know about this word, you can explain that. That is the definition in my subject. Incompletely dominant. That is, the dominant allele is not completely dominant over the recessive allele in the heterozygous condition, or else recessive allele is also expressing in the heterozygous condition. Like this, we can write the definition. Okay, the dominant allele is not completely dominant. Dominant allele is not completely dominant over what? Dominancy can be seen on recessive allele now. So that's the one what we have to say here. So dominant allele is not completely dominant over what? Its recessive allele. Its recessive allele only, not any other recessive allele. Okay. Its recessive allele. So now conditions we have to write. That means we say homozygous or heterozygous. That's the one what we have to show. That is the heterozygous condition. In heterozygous condition. Those who have attempted the MSET and the NEET exam, those knowing it in a better way, that whatever the words and whatever we have written now, everything is there in the competitive exam also for us, isn't it? So you need to say to your younger ones, otherwise to your cousins or the friends, those friends, brothers or sisters, whoever may be. So what we have to say, the one what we are preparing is very easy in this subject. Okay. So don't feel hectic by seeing the reader or any other thing. That's a very simple one. So here the dominant, what is the incomplete dominance definition? What we can say in very easily method? Dominant allele is not completely dominant over its recessive allele. This word makes much more meaning over here. Its recessive allele. Without that, the sentence is not properly written. Its recessive allele in heterozygous condition, or in another way also we can say, na, recessive allele is also expressing its characters in the heterozygous condition. This way or that way we can say. So that is the one what we are saying. Or recessive allele is expressive in heterozygous condition. Only in heterozygous. In the homozygous, it will always exhibit its characters. In the heterozygous only, it matters how it is expressing and which gene is expressive. Now, in which organisms we will see the variation, and this incomplete dominance is the variation from the Mendel's laws. Okay, so in this, we can go with the flower colored in Antirrhinum or snapdragon. This is easy. So go with this. Snapdragon is the easiest word. So we have to go with this word. Okay. So the flower color in the snapdragon. So what it will do in this? Okay. So the dominant color, the color of the original color, that is the dominant color in this is the red. And in all the plants, we will see the red color flower. In some plants, it is showing the white colored flowers. But once these two plants were crossed, then we will see what we are expecting. We will expect the red, otherwise the white. But here, in between colors, we will get, that is the pink color we are getting. That is, the dominant color is not dominant over this white color. And the white color, what it says in the heterozygous condition, you should recognize my presence. It is showing it's a white color also. So it's not always suppressive. So it shows that why you are ignoring my occurrence. I will also express my characters. That is the pink color, intermediate color we will get. That is the one what we have to write over here. Okay. So how to write this part? Snapdragon. Okay. Flower color in snapdragon. So in this, what we have to say, the dominant color of the flower is the red color and the recessive color is the white color. Once in the heterozygous condition, the plants are exhibiting the intermediate color, that is the pink color. Red is there, white is there, and in between that, it is expressing the pink color, that is the intermediate color. So in this one, the dominant gene is not completely dominant over its recessive allele, and the recessive allele is not completely suppressive in the heterozygous condition. Even it is expressing its characters, so we will get the intermediate color as the pink one. So with this, how the Mendel's ratio will change. That's the one what we have to see. Okay, so with this, Mendel's monohybrid ratio, that is 3:1, is going to be changed into 1:2:1. That is the one. So how this can be? So now see the representation. Red colored flowers are crossed with the white colored flowers. Always dominant characters represented with the capital letters. RR crossed with small rr. So in this gamete is capital R. In this gamete is a small r. These are the gametes. Capital R, small r. This is the F1 generation. In this, the intermediate color is going to be occurred. That is the pink color. After this, once we do the selfing of the F1 plants, then what we will get? Capital R, small r crossed with the capital R, small r. This is the parents too. Now we need to draw a Punnett square picture. This is the male gametes and this is the female gametes. So in this capital R, small r, capital R, small r. This is the capital R, capital R. With this we will get capital R, small r. Here also capital R, small r. Here small r we will get. So, and this is the red colored flower. And according to Mendel, what we will say, whenever the dominant allele is there, it will give only the dominant characters. But here, I said it will be the different one. This gives the pink color. And this gives the pink color. This is the pink. Okay. And this is the white colored flower. And what is the phenotype and what is the phenotypic ratio? Phenotype. Phenotype is, how many phenotypes are there? Here, 3 different phenotypes are there. The first one is the red and pink, and next comes white. Okay. Now, phenotypic ratio. That means how many plants with this type of phenotypic nature we have seen. So, red is of 1 plant, pink 2, and the white 1. You can see in this. Okay, red is of only 1 plant, and the pink color 2 plants are there, and the white color only 1 plant. Like this, 1:2:1. Now comes the genotype. What is the genotype of this phenotypic character? Red RR and pink capital R small r and white small r small r. So what is the genotypic ratio? Genotypic ratio is again 1:2:1. So where is the change in this? Why it is not following the Mendel's law of dominance? Because in the Mendel's law of dominance, here you can see the phenotypic ratio. That is the 3:1 is the phenotypic ratio according to the Mendel's law of dominance. But in the incomplete dominance, we will see the phenotypic ratio is going to change from 3:1 to 1:2:1. That's the one what we have to write. If you have written this one sentence, now what I said, complete answer weightage will increase. How you have written, what you have written, everything will have the somewhat superior status. They will say that, yes, this is the one what we need over there. That's the answering technique what we will say in my subject. Okay. So here, what we have to write after writing this, the incomplete dominance is not following the phenotypic ratio of Mendel's law of dominance. That is, it is changing from the Mendel's law of dominance phenotypic ratio from 3:1 to 1:2:1. This sentence, if you have written like that, then there is no such thing that you won't get 4 you are not getting any reduction in the marks. You will get full marks over there. And the last sentence, what we have to say, the phenotypic ratio and the genotypic ratio are same in the incomplete dominance as 1:2:1. Whereas in the Mendel's law of dominance, we won't see the same thing. The phenotypic ratio is 3:1, whereas the genotypic ratio is 1:2:1. So there is a change in the phenotypic and the genotypic ratios in the incomplete dominance. And here, the both are same. The phenotypic ratio and the genotypic ratio are same as 1:2:1. These are the two sentences what we have to write as a conclusion of this matter in the incomplete dominance. With this, we can conclude this in a beautiful way. What Mendel wants us to express. So that's the technique over here. So we can wind up this question by writing the theory in 5 points, and once you have done this representation, give the conclusion in 2 points. We can close our eyes and we can give 4 out of 4 for that answer. No chance of skipping off half mark anywhere. That much worthful is this. Like this, if you write Vindas, no chance of getting rid of the marks also. Okay, but how to write is the important one. What to write? The first of all, the definition of the incomplete dominance you have to write over here. That is, the dominant allele is not completely dominant over its recessive allele in the heterozygous condition, or recessive allele is not expressive in heterozygous condition. Not is expressive in heterozygous condition. Okay. The recessive allele is also expressive in the heterozygous condition. This can be observed in the snapdragon flowers. The flower color in the snapdragon is the dominant color is the red color and the recessive color is the white color. And once we cross these two plants, then the hybrid variety is not expressing the dominant characters. It is expressing the intermediate character, that is the pink color. Okay, and once we have done the crossing between the F1 generations only, that is F1 is crossed with the F1 itself, then we will see in the F2 generation, this is the F2 generation. These are the gametes. In the F2 generation, one plant is the red, one plant is showing the red color flower, and the two plants are showing the pink colored flowers, and one more plant is showing only the white colored flower. So, and in this, it is not following the Mendel's law of dominance of the phenotypic ratio as 1:3:1 to 1:2:1. And now we have to start this representation. After that conclusion, we need to write. Okay. So in that representation also, red crossed with white, those are the parents. RR crossed with small rr. Now the gametes, always encircle the gametes. If you are not encircling the gametes, that means those are not the haploid, not the diploid. We cannot consider anything because this comes with the meiosis from the parent meiotic. So after the meiotic division, one haploid gamete always need to be encircled. Then the F1 generation will get the capital R, small r with the pink color. Over. Now F1 to F1 and capital R, small r crossed with capital R, small r. Now the second parents. Now we can draw the Punnett square picture. So put the arrow mark in the center of the cross, not anywhere else. Whatever, wherever you want, not like that. In between the just exactly in the center of the cross, you have to put the arrow mark. That also arrow mark, it's not a single line like this. It should be the arrow mark. These are the rules and regulations for representing the crosses between the organisms by Mendel. We are not more than Mendel, so don't use your own brain. So do whatever we are saying. Put the arrow mark and draw the Punnett square picture. And in this, wherever the organisms are there, that square should be somewhat bigger and the gamete square should be smaller. These are also the rules were given by the Punnett, Mr. Punnett, who has given this Punnett square picture. Okay, and these are the gametes and this is the F2 generation. Now, after this, below that Punnett square picture, we have to write the phenotype, phenotypic ratio, genotype, genotypic ratio, phenotype. That is the three different types of phenotypes can be seen in the F2 generation. That is red is to pink is to white. Phenotypic ratio 1:2:1. Genotype Kepler is to Kepler, smaller is to smaller. Genotypic ratio 1:2:1. And the conclusion, what we have to write is the incomplete dominance. In the incomplete dominance, the phenotypic ratio is varying from the Mendel's law of dominance phenotypic ratio. That is from 3:1 to 1:2:1, where the recessive allelic characters are also expressive in the heterozygous condition, which shows the intermediate characters. And the phenotypic ratio and the genotypic ratio are same in the incomplete dominance as 1:2:1. With this, we can wind up this answer. Now comes the next topic. That is the codominance. This is also another way where another point where the Mendel's law of dominance is not followed in some plants. So what it is doing, this one, the dominant allele, the one character should have the dominant allele representation and the recessive allelic representation. That is, one character is a dominant and one should be the recessive one for a specific character now. But in some organisms, it's not like that. That means in some organisms, specific trait does not have the dominant and the recessive characters. So all these ones are going to be represented with the dominant, that is with the capital letters, and all the characters, all the traits are dominant itself in the homozygous and in the heterozygous. So whenever the dominant characters are there in the heterozygous, what they will do? They will express in the same manner along with the other character, other dominant character, that is the codominance. Okay, one single trait does not having the specific dominant character nor the recessive allelic representation. So that is going to be expressive as it is along with other dominant character without any variation in the F2 generation. That is called, and the F1 generation in the heterozygous condition, that is called as the codominance. So this codominance can be seen in the animals, in the human beings, as well as in the plants. So here we have to write in the plants because this subject is botany. Here we should not write anything related with the animals, not the human beings. Okay, give the example, that's sufficient, but explanation should be done only with the plants. Okay, so here the ones what we can see, the codominance can be expressed in the plants. In the plants, that is the lentil seeds. Okay, in the lentil plants, that we can see this type of codominance characters. Whereas in the animals, it can be expressive in the coat color of the, otherwise the skin color, otherwise the fur pattern. Okay, anything we can see as a codominance in the animals. And the next one is in the human beings. In the human beings, codominance can be seen as in the blood grouping. ABO blood group. In this, we won't write it as A, B, O, isn't it? Right? Because these three are the three different groups, which is not, we cannot represent that, we cannot say that this is recessive to this. This will be expressive and this will be like that only. That is the codominance. But here other factors are also there to go with the blood grouping. So we are not discussing about that blood grouping right now. Okay. Now we will go only with the lentil. In the lentil plants, how the codominance occurs. In the lentil plants, the seed coats will exhibit this. Okay, the seed coat of the lentil plants, it is having the two characters, two pattern, that is the spotted and the dotted pattern are there on the seed coat. So that is it is exhibiting it is going with the codominance by violating the law of dominance that was given by the Mendel. Okay, so here how to represent, we are saying the seed coat now. So this has to be represented with the capital C and in this, what are the characters, what we are saying? One is the dotted and another one is the spotted. So this is the dotted seed coats should be crossed with spotted seed coat. Yes. Okay. And this has to be crossed. These are the first parents. Now, here we will get a gamete of, sorry, this is CD, no? CD, and this is the gamete of CS. These are the gametes. If we cross these two, we will get CD, CS. This is the F1 generation. So, which character is going to be expressed in this? Both the characters are expressed now. That is dotted, spotted. What we can say as dotted, spotted. Okay. Now, F1 should be crossed with F1 selfing. Once the selfing CD crossed with the CDCS is crossed with CDCS. These are the second parents. Now, we have to go with the Punnett square picture. This is male, this is female, this is CD, this is CS, this is CD, this is CS. So here CD, 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 CS, CD, CS, CS, CS. This is the F2 generation. Now comes the phenotype. What is how many types of phenotypes are there? 3 types of phenotypes are there. That is dotted is to dotted, spotted is to spotted, isn't it? That's the one what we have seen in the Punnett square picture now. Dotted, dotted, spotted, dotted, spotted, spotted. Same thing we are writing in the phenotype. Now comes the phenotypic ratio. That is how many plants of the dotted? 1 is to 2 is to 1. Now the genotype. What is the genotype of this phenotype? That is the CD is to CDCS is to CSCS. So genotypic ratio, last one. That is 1 is to 2 is to 1. Okay. So this, what is the conclusion in this? The Mendel's law of dominance. The phenotypic ratio is going to be varying from 3 is to 1 to 1 is to 2 is to 1. And the phenotypic and the genotypic ratios are same as 1 is to 2 is to 1. That is a variation from Mendel's law of dominance. Okay, like that we need to conclude. And in this, both the characters are expressive. So there is no other intermediate character. That's the one what we can see, that is called as the codominance. For one trait, there is no recessive character, and that is going to be represented with the recessive allele. both the characters are going to be expressive as it is in the heterozygous condition. That is the codominance. So with this, we have finished the 3 SAQs. That is the law of dominance, incomplete dominance, codominance from this chapter 9. That is the genetics chapter. And only 2 questions are there that we will discuss in the next class. And stay tuned to the same channel, same time. So see you tomorrow, students. Bye. Thank you.